Hello and welcome to RayJ's Tinfoil Hat series, where I delve into truly bizarre claims that our world is not as we've been told. Tighten the chin strap on your tinfoil hat and let's go for a ride. Today I'm just dipping my toe into the conspiracy pond. I decided to check into the claim that moonlight actually makes items cooler rather than warmer. This of course is counter to what we would expect, since we've been taught that moonlight is reflected sunlight. I came across this notion that moonlight is cooler than sunlight and actually has a cooling effect when I was reading the book Zetetic Astronomy by Samuel Burley Robotham. This book was published in 1881 and he investigated and did experiments in a lot of areas, and just one of which was the moonlight temperature. So I decided to do some experiments of my own. I did some simple tests using reflectors in the backyard, using reflected sunlight and direct moonlight. I did numerous tests on different occasions to try to eliminate variables and get a good average. Let's go ahead and cut to a few of those tests and you can see how they were done. Okay, we're out here on a nice sunny day in Crosby, Texas. I've got my reflector set up here, and it's aimed at a piece of paper so that I reflect the sunlight onto that piece of paper. And over here I have another piece of paper that's in the shade. We're going to do a quick couple of measurements to see how the temperature compares. So let's hit it here. And we got 79.5. Do another one. And 79.8. Let's do another one. And 77.5. I'll go over here to the shade. Got 67.8. 66.9. Got a lot of wind here. It's skewing the results a little. And 65.6. As you would expect, the area with the sun reflecting is noticeably warmer than where we don't have reflected sun. But let's try a reading here in the moonlight. 17.7 is one reading. 16.8. And 17 even. Let's go over here in the shade. 20.3. 20.1. And 20.1. Okay. For those of you who are familiar with conducting tests, you'll know that things don't always work exactly like you'd predict. You get scattered data, you have anomalies, you don't have consistent data sometimes, so you have to continue to take data and record it and determine what is the conclusion or what's the outcome. I did put together a spreadsheet after doing several measurements, and I did have some anomalies, partly because of high wind conditions and such. I found that reflected sunlight warmed up surfaces, sometimes not very much, maybe 2.5 degrees. You can see from the spreadsheet here highlighted in yellow, 2.2 degrees. Sometimes as high as 12.1 degrees, and more on average is about 5 degrees. Usually it was 5 degrees, maybe 3 to 5. Now over on the other column that are in the kind of a blue highlight, you'll see the temperature in moonlight, and the smallest differentiation I saw was 1.22 degrees cooler. Then you'll see the two other measurements down below are 3.2 and 3.375, both a little bit cooler. On average, I found that moonlight, when I was working with a full moon, was bringing the temperature down 2 to 3 degrees typically than the area in the shade. I decided to do one more test. I set up a single light source and used a globe to represent the moon. I wanted to see if the shading on the moon matched that of a single light source on a sphere. When lit from the side, the shading of my model looked similar to that of the moon. You can see in these couple of examples here. The mismatch is found with the full moon. Notice that light drops off around the perimeter of a sphere. This is how light reflects off a sphere from a single light source. The full moon does not display this drop-off. You'll see that the edges are just as bright as the center. Since tests verify that reflected light of the sun has a warming effect, whereas the light rays of the moon have a cooling effect, and since tests verify that full moon lighting does not match that of a sphere lit by a single source, is it logical to conclude that the moon is a sphere illuminated by the light of the sun? You are likely thinking at this point that RayJ's not playing with the full deck. He's lost his marbles. Cheese slid off the cracker. But all I've done here is just show you some simple tests that indicate that what we've been told about the moon may not be the truth. I encourage you to do your own research. Look at the moon, measure some temperatures, take some photographs, use all the tools you have at your disposal to find the truth. In an upcoming episode, I'll address the obvious question. If the world is not as we've been told, then are those in authority willing and able to do things like this, where they basically deceive us intentionally?